strengthen the protection of the Ukrainian sky ahead of winter and provide our army with the necessary funding. This was discussed by the participants of the Coalition of the Willing, which gathered on Ukraine's Independence Day. Oleksandra Babykina will tell us more about the results of the summit.
At the table are the leaders of Great Britain, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, Luxembourg, and the President of the European Council. On the screens are about 24 more heads of state from various countries. On Independence Day, a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing took place in Kyiv. The meeting was led by the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Andy Burnham. The first and main issue is the protection of the Ukrainian sky.
We need at least 300 Patriot missiles for the winter period and the cold months. Every missile is a saved life.
To this, the partners unanimously declare they will work on finding additional ammunition for our air defense. London has agreed to transfer Storm Shadow technology to Kyiv so that the Ukrainian industry can develop its own production of long-range weapons.
British and French industry will now work with Ukraine to develop this potential. I also call on the British industry to support the Freya project to create a cheaper alternative to American Patriot systems for intercepting ballistic missiles.
Ukraine needs not only missiles but also money. According to Zelenskyy, there is a $27 billion shortfall for defense needs this year.
One of the main options is to move part of the long-term European funding planned for next year and make it available now.
They also discussed how to increase economic pressure on Moscow. Emmanuel Macron called for targeting the schemes that allow Russia to bypass sanctions.
Russia is buying diesel fuel, oil and gas from third countries because of our actions regarding the Shadow Fleet and because of the very effective actions organized by the Ukrainian army. I think it is very important that we introduce new sanctions to prevent our own players from selling this oil and gas.
Most of the meeting took place behind closed doors. Volodymyr Zelenskyy talks about what exactly was agreed upon after the meeting. He says Ukraine will receive new defense and energy packages.
Support for Ukraine will continue and air defense is a priority. We are moving in two directions. We are looking for and buying PAC-3 through the Patriot systems and other formats, and we are also all working on accelerating the Freya project.
The necessity of continuous assistance was confirmed by all summit participants.
We are all thinking about the same thing, about more effective support for Ukraine, about how to provide it with aid in view of the approaching winter. And I believe that this is very good as it is a prerequisite for making the necessary decisions in the future. If Ukraine is safe and independent, we are all safe and independent. If Ukraine loses, others will be the next targets. That is why we must support Ukraine.
The next time, the Coalition of the Willing should gather as early as September. The participants agreed that there will be no long pauses between meetings. Oleksandra Babykina, Valery Saityuk, We Are Ukraine, United News Marathon.
Yegor Chernev is with us on the line. He is a People's Deputy and Deputy Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on National Security, Defense and Intelligence, as well as the head of the permanent delegation of Ukraine to the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. Greetings to you, Mr. Yegor.
Good day.
Let's talk about the Coalition of the Willing, as well as the need to strengthen the protection of our skies ahead of winter and the necessary funding. From the statements I heard on August 24th yesterday, it seems that, well, the processes are already in the execution stage. Is that really the case? You might know more?
The question is which processes? Because if we are talking about providing us with additional missiles for the Patriots, and not only, by the way, missiles for Patriots, because we are also short on other missiles for other systems that our partners definitely have in their warehouses. So this work has been going on for quite a long time and is constant. And honestly speaking, I would like to hear concrete promises about the transfer of missiles at such summits. It's okay without the specific numbers. Yes, our enemy doesn't need to know how many missiles will be transferred to us, rather than just discussing that we will discuss further aid to Ukraine. At the same time, we know which countries have missiles in their stockpiles, and bilateral negotiations are being held with them, and there are certain, well, let's say certain assurances on their part regarding the transfer of some of these missiles to Ukraine, so that it would be easier for us to get through this winter. However, that number of missiles will still be insufficient, unfortunately, to defend against the Russian Federation, because the Russian Federation currently has the capability to produce about 120 missiles of various types per month. Therefore, it will be difficult, but as I said, we are making progress here. If we talk about the funding itself regarding the aid for closing that hole that we currently have of 27 billion, then here we are also talking with our partners on a bilateral basis about bringing forward funding from future periods. Many countries have aid for Ukraine included in their annual budgets, and we are working with some countries in exactly this way. For example, with the Netherlands. That is, we are agreeing that what has been allocated for next year should be used this year to help Ukraine because we desperately need such funding today. The war, or rather the cost of the war, is increasing by approximately 20 to 30% year over year due to the rising cost of technologies, the increased volume of usage of various weaponry, and so on. Therefore, these two tracks are being pursued in parallel, and there are indeed certain results.
I want to take a half step back to the Patriot. There, in the fall, it seems there is supposed to be a certain diplomatic landing party to Washington, if I'm not mistaken, the French and the British. And the topic, among other things, is also unlocking access to a portion of these interceptor missiles in storage. But I think we shouldn't just focus on that. You mentioned the production of 120 units per month. Well, and it's obvious that considering the number of missiles produced by Russia, and here we can also add North Korea and Iran as its allies' accomplices, who are also engaged in the production of such missiles. Well, the production of interceptors needs to be increased. And the issue here, as I understand it, is not just about some political expediency. There are also questions regarding the individual companies that supply the components. It's a complicated knot. In your opinion, can it be untangled by the alliance, or is it impossible?
The question is indeed complex because, like in that proverb, 9 women cannot have a baby in 1 month, right? That is, there is a certain period required to produce these or other components. And here, even if Lockheed Martin, as the main manufacturer, increases the assembly capacity for these missiles, certain components will lag behind because certain technological processes require time. How can we, and what are we actually doing right now, to not depend entirely on the United States? This is a project like Freya, which is meant to be a modular system, so as not to depend on any single component. Yes, in the future, when creating these anti-ballistic missiles, we need to accelerate our efforts here. And in principle, there are technologies that allow for it, like those same radars that are being produced in France and Belgium. So there is a component base, let's say, that can help, not exactly very quickly, but in the foreseeable future to produce these anti-ballistic missiles of our own European production.
By the way, Great Britain will transfer secret data to Kyiv for the production of long-range Storm Shadow missiles. They plan to create a production line in Ukraine by the end of the year. CNN reports this. According to this media outlet, the defense forces will use this weapon to strike underground military targets, such as command bunkers. Storm Shadow is equipped with a turbojet engine. It has a maximum range of 550 kilometers and can carry a 400-kilogram warhead. The technical features of these missiles ensure a high level of accuracy in all weather conditions. And also 2 points, because the devil is in the details, Mr. Yehor. I have already heard, just like you, just like all Ukrainians, from Trump, assurances there that Ukraine will receive licenses, and then it happens, interceptor missiles. Things don't always go as planned. Here too, we are already hearing from Dandy Burnham words to the effect that Ukraine will receive this data. I don't want to draw parallels, but just in case. Is there a threat that from statements to actual actions regarding the production of the plant, the development of missiles, and so on, we won't get there because we'll run into some other political statement, goal, or obstacle?
I hope that with the United Kingdom, we still have more stable and predictable relations. And in principle, what was promised earlier was supplied and fulfilled by the United Kingdom. Therefore, here, if it has already been announced, I hope that between words and actions, there will not be a long pause and there will be no discrepancy. Another matter is what exactly will be provided to Ukraine. That is its technical documentation. It's either large-scale assembly here, because there are also components here. There are also certain bottlenecks here. Yes, especially regarding high-tech components like guidance systems. To be perfectly honest, I don't really know all the specific details of this program just yet. However, I sincerely hope that we won't end up getting stuck at the critical implementation stage due to a sudden lack of certain essential components. That is a major concern, because if that happens, other contractors simply won't be able to keep up with our urgent needs.